Have you ever tried growing plants indoors? Bought a random light set, you set everything up, and you still watch your plants get leggy, they get weak, they start leaning every which way but towards the light you just set up, and then they're looking at you like they're begging for help? If so, you are not crazy. Indoor growing can get frustrating real fast. So in this video, I am reviewing the Barrina CX91. If you've been searching for LED grow lights that help grow your plants indoors, I tested the Barrina CX90 to see if these Barrina indoor grow lights are actually going to help you grow plants. And to be quite honest, make sure it's something that's worth for your indoor gardening and your indoor hydroponics gardening. And real quick, let me know in the comments. Are you trying to grow herbs, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers? We got cucumbers growing right behind me over here. Houseplants, anything, just let me know. I like to know where everyone's coming from. And also, I left a link right to the Barrina CX91 and a link right down below in the description. So you can see the specs, you can see if it fits for your setup as you keep watching along this video. Before I got the Barrina CX91, I had tried a few different indoor plant setups. I had plants near the windows, I had small grow bulbs, light strips. I had plants spread out in different places. And the biggest issue always came up. It all felt really pieced together. One plant wouldn't get enough light. Another one would stretch, another one would lean. And then maybe some would grow, but they wouldn't grow evenly, you know? And honestly, once you start growing one or two or three things or more indoors, you start noticing real quickly what the issue could be. And especially when you're dealing with indoor hydroponics, because the issue is not only going to be the light, it's going to be organization. And that is where the Barrina CX91 started to make sense for me. This is not just a light you clip onto a shelf. It is a 5-tier plant stand with grow lights built into the system. According to Barrina, the CX91 is a 5-tier plant stand that measures about 23.6 inches long, 13.8 inches wide, 59 inches high, and it comes with 4 1.6-foot 25-watt TX series full spectrum grow lights. So right away, that solves the problem. You get a place to put your plants, and you get dedicated light for the plants. That may sound simple, but when you're trying to grow indoor plants, that makes a big difference. Now let's talk about installation and setup. The setup was pretty straightforward. This is one of those things I liked about it. You're not trying to figure out how to mount lights to some random bookshelf or how to tape lights under a shelf to hope they stay there. The stand is designed to work with the lights. Barrina says the plant stand can be assembled or disassembled without tools, and it comes with a caster so you can move it around, then lock it into place when you find the right spot. That matters because once this is filled with plants, you don't want it dragging across the floor. And when I set mine up, I had to think about where I would actually live in the house. This is not something I would say I casually throw around in a corner without thinking. It's almost 5 feet tall, so you want to know where it's going. But once it's in place, it looks clean. That was one of the first things I noticed. It didn't look like it turned my room into a messy science project. It looked more like an organized indoor growing station. And if you're someone who cares about how their space looks, that matters. Because some indoor gardening setups work, but they look rough. This one feels intentional. Now the big question is, do the lights actually help? For me, the biggest difference was consistency. The Barrina grow lights give each shelf more direct light. Instead of having one overhead light and hoping that it reaches everything, each level gets its own dedicated lighting area. Barrina describes these as full spectrum grow lights, and the upgraded fixtures have twice the PPFD as the previous ones, which means they're designed to get the plants more usable light. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like this turns you into some master gardener overnight. You still need to pay attention to water, nutrients, airflow, spacing, and what your plant actually needs. But what this did for me was remove one of the biggest headaches, especially with hydroponics gardening: uneven lighting. Once I got this, I wasn't constantly moving my trays around trying to figure out why one tray looked better than the other, especially when it came to germinating. My smaller plants, herbs, greens look more organized and they are much easier to manage. That is the real practical benefit. It gives you a system. And if you've been trying to grow indoor plants with those random lights lying around the house, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now let me pause here for a second. If you're watching this and saying, hey, this is the perfect system for me, I love this, I left a link right down below in the description so you can say, hey, look, I checked the specs, make sure this fits into my space, and get one for yourself. Now let's talk about what I like. First, I like the space that it saves. Because it's vertical, you don't have to go searching around looking for trays and pots to place all over your house. That was big for me. When plants start taking over your counters, your windowsills, just everywhere, it gets overwhelming to me. This puts everything into one place. The Barrina CX90 has 5 shelves that are adjustable. This is the second thing that I love about it. That is important if you're growing seedlings on one shelf, herbs on another, maybe you're growing larger plants or hydroponic plants lower. Third, I like the timer. The CX90 comes with a mechanical timer socket. So you can set it once and have your lights come on at the same time every single day. Because if you're busy, you do not want another thing that you have to think about doing every single day. And for indoor gardening, consistency matters. And the timer helps with that. Fourth, I like the look. This may not matter to everyone, but it matters to me. If this is going into your living room, office, basement, or a corner of your home, you probably want it to look decent. And this does. It organizes your plants well and gives them a dedicated home. Now let's talk about what I don't love, because this is not a commercial. The first thing is you need the right space. The stand is not huge, but it is tall. You want to make sure you know where it's going before you order it. Second, this might not be the best fit for very tall plants unless you plan carefully. If you're growing something that is aggressive and grows a lot of vines like cucumbers or tomatoes like I have growing right behind me, you may eventually need a different setup or more vertical room. For seedling, herbs, greens, this stand makes a lot more sense. And third, this is more of a full system than a quick fix. And if you have one tiny houseplant and you're looking for a light, this might be a complete overkill for a project like that. You're not just paying for lights, you're paying for organization, you're paying for structure, vertical growing space, and more consistent light coverage. So who is this really for? The Barrina CX90 makes sense for someone who wants to grow indoors consistently. And that could be someone starting seeds indoors. Someone who has multiple plants and they want to have better lighting. If you're casually keeping one plant near the window, this may not be the setup that you need. But if you're asking, how do I grow more plants in my house without looking like some chaotic mess? Then a Barrina Grow Light CX90 makes more sense for you. This is where I think that product shines. And it's not just about the light. It's about creating a repeating indoor growing station. Now here's my honest verdict. The Barrina CX90 is one of the more practical indoor setups that I've used because it solves a lot of problems in a really practical way all at once. It gives you shelves, it gives you dedicated LED grow lights, it gives you a timer, it gives you adjustable spacing, it gives you mobility with the wheels, and it makes the whole setup look a lot cleaner. For me, this made indoor gardening less scattered and more manageable. Would I recommend it? Absolutely, that is a yes. Especially if you're someone who's looking for something that's more organized and they want to have more than just plants with random light strips and putting them in windowsills. But I would not recommend it blindly to everyone. Make sure that you have the space. Make sure your plants fit the shelf height. Make sure you're going to use the multiple tiers because that's where the setup makes the most sense. If you want to check out the exact model that I use, I left a link right down below in the description so you can check that out and to see the specs and also make sure that it fits into your space. And before you go, drop a comment and let me know what type of plants you're trying to grow right now. Are you growing herbs, tomatoes, cucumbers, microgreens, lettuce? Let me know. I truly want to know. If this review helped you, let me know by giving a like or subscribe or give both. And I'm going to keep making reviews like this that are honest and help us keep growing in the community. Thank you for watching. YouTube thinks you'll like this video next.